think the decision has to be made on the halfback, which is a massive call. And it's unfortunate for DCE because he's been a champion for Queensland, but unfortunately, no one beats Father Time.
Welcome back to another week of Immortal Behaviour, a bit of a special edition off the back of Origin, all thanks to our mates at Tab, Andrew Johns. It's always good coming home from Suncorp with a win under our belt. We've survived. How are you feeling?
Yeah, very happy. Game one is so important to win, especially game one up there. And we'll get into it, but it was probably the most dominant performance I've seen for a couple of years. It was those games when Freddie coached. It was one at Townsville and one at Perth where the boys put 50 on Queensland. They didn't put 50 on, but I think the performance was as dominant.
It was strange, wasn't it? Because it just always felt like New South Wales was in control.
They were just playing with Queensland. It's like when you see that killer whale with the seal just throw it in the air. It's some big decisions for Billy.
Yeah. Big
decisions for Billy and the selectors. So it's nice for them to be under pressure and not us talking about
Isn't
selection.
it?
It is not.
This will be an enjoyable podcast. Strap yourselves in.
This team, New South Wales, the nucleus of this team has been together for a while, but they're all getting around that period of their best footy. So this could be a really good period for New South Wales. Really good.
Obviously they're under Laurie Daly at the moment, but just on that point, Freddie was around when he was blooding a lot of these players, and he brought a lot of those younger players in. And as you mentioned, they've got experience now in those big games. So I don't know, I feel like it's only fair to give Freddie a lot of that credit for some of those players coming through.
Sure.
Let's talk about the game itself. Blues, you've already mentioned they were dominant. What's your summation of how it sort of rolled out at Suncorp?
I'll start on Queensland. Queensland, number one, their middles got rolled, absolutely smashed. The opening kickoff, Mitch Barnett went off the kickoff, quick play the ball. Zac Lomax played two, scattered three of them, went over the top of Harry. The next play, Payne Haas went to the left, pretty much went between Ruben Cotter and Daly Cherry Evans. Our third play was played on our 40-metre mark. It never happens in Origin. Look, we'll get into Queensland later, but number one, their ruck defence just got blown away by our forward pack, especially our middle forwards, led by Mitch Barnett and also Payne Haas. Someone we haven't spoke about, I thought Isaiah Yeo's performance was unbelievable. I watched back the game last night and he didn't pass that often. He ran the ball. We haven't sort of spoke about Isaiah. Very selfless the way he played, but geez, he went well. And then our bench blew Queensland away. So there might be some changes, which we'll get into later, but the forward pack for Queensland, it just felt like Tino was doing it on his own. Tino needs some help. There needs to be big changes in their forward pack.
Let's talk about, you mentioned Isaiah Yeo and his running game was different. We spoke about this game a couple of times in the lead up on this podcast and just around how he plays, but also the spine. We were speculating on how New South Wales play this, Isaiah Yeo, the Penrith style. He didn't really play that style at all, and it worked.
Nathan played on the advantage line. Normally it's Isaiah Yeo playing to Nathan, and he plays to the outside backs. It was Nathan.
Maybe they listened.
Maybe they did. Doubt it. I thought the game plan was really strong. I think in game two we've still got maybe 20%, 15-20% improvement, which is pretty scary. I think we need to tweak a couple of things to get the ball to Latrell and also Stephen Crichton quicker. And it's just a matter of when Nathan goes right into the line, which he does, which holds defenders, it takes time off out here. Whether Nathan needs to play a bit earlier to Moses, and Moses just catches and just fires it. But we saw the times that they got Angus in space, just can't tackle him, and some of Latrell's touches, who had limited opportunities. We are going to be so much better. Actually, Liam Martin didn't get that much ball. He did a lot of work defensively. And Stephen Crichton, you saw his class. Stephen Crichton was out of this world. Set up that first try. And then defensively, he's a good player.
It's mental, isn't it?
He's a good player. But this is a really special New South Wales team. And look, it goes in cycles. We know what happened for Queensland with that 8 years dominance. They had the best players. We got the best players at the moment.
What about on the halves? Do you think it's because we saw so much more of Nathan Cleary's running game? Like you mentioned, you want to see some tweaks. do you want to see a little bit more of a balance between that?
No. I like the running.
What did you like about the halves?
I love that they're coming back on the inside, challenging the markers, not always going wide. They're coming back at the markers and testing the honesty of the Queensland forwards, not only at marker, but also the other side of the ruck. That really impressed me. I just think we need to maybe tweak a little bit where we can get the ball wider, cleaner, and to give our outside men room to move, because this is a serious, well-balanced team. I thought when the bench came on.
He did it well, Laurie Daly, didn't he, the way he used them?
Max King really surprised me. I thought he might have had some nerves and be overawed, but he did his job. Jeez, and played longer minutes than I thought. Connor Watson, when he came on, he only got on the last 10 or 15. I thought he really added something. Spencer.
He's a nutcase.
He's a nutcase. I love when they
a great nutcase.
Call them pussies.
The only player Queensland really had like that was Nene, wasn't it?
Nene was their best.
Yeah.
Nene was their best, and he provided that error on Latrell where they scored. But you can't hide away from the fact that in 2 games up there, they have scored 1 try off an error.
The attack is not humming in Queensland. What about for New South Wales, do you think?
There's a lot of talk about, and I've been quite strong on their spine not playing together and DCE. Very hard to do it if your forwards are getting dominated, but the great ones do. Wally did it, Lockyer did it, these players did it, Alan Langer. They've got to find a way. You've got
to figure out how to play on the back foot
if you
want to be in that next arena. What about the Blues, game 2, heading over to Perth? Do you think Laurie goes with the same 17?
Yeah, no changes at all. No changes. Unless there's injuries, obviously, but none.
So a lot of the conversation before this game was if Tommy Turbo was fully fit, Dr. Rogic was fully fit, you'd find a place for him?
None.
Does he make
this team
if he is?
I was quite strong.
Yeah.
I think Turbo, the way he's played over the last, half a dozen years.
So what if he comes out for the next 2 weeks and plays out of his skin? There's no doubt because of the way that New South Wales played.
No, this 17 stays together. But Tom hasn't been fully fit this year. He's playing on one leg. He's missing this weekend, which is dire for Manly. But no, this team stays together.
We're in a pretty good position. You obviously mentioned how well New South Wales is, and we've got that good crop of players at the moment. New South Wales hasn't won a series 3-0 since the year 2000 without getting ahead of ourselves.
Even Queensland at 8 years dominance. I think there's only one clean sweep. It is so hard to do. But this is the team that possibly can do it, and what the big advantage is, game 3 is in our backyard.
Yeah. Can't wait. Bring it on. There was a bit of talk post-game that Cleary still hasn't completely dominated an Origin game. I sort of thought from the get-go that you could tell it was his team, and I thought the balance between the halves, Mitch let him do that. But do you feel like he completely dominated it?
There's games he has. There's games he's shot the lights out.
What about that game in particular? That game at Suncorp?
I probably reckon Nathan was a 7. I think Payne Haas was man of the match, and I think a shandy behind him was Zac Lomax. And then the third, I ended up giving 1 point to Mitch Barnett. I thought he was a really good foil for Payne. But other players there, I thought Angus Crichton could have been that 1 point. Stephen Crichton defensively and with the ball. But yeah, I'd probably give Nathan a 7 out of 10.
So taking his goal kicking out of the picture for a second, wasn't it strange? Both
and I was talking about the balls. Freddie actually sent me a message. Steeden got in contact with him and said the balls were exactly the same, and the graphics and the signage on the ball doesn't affect it. So whether it was quite slippery, their plant foot when they're kicking for goal, but even the general play kicking was. Mitch Moses did one in goal. He never gets that wrong.
Yeah.
So anyway,
do you reckon? Obviously, Mitch Moses, one of the best part of his games is that long kicking game. I wrote it down before. Cleary kicked 455 metres, Moses 167. They didn't necessarily utilise that because he's, I guess, on the left edge. Is that okay? Are you happy with that?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
I thought Nathan would do pretty much more than that.
Right.
So it was really good they shared it around. So this combination is going to get better and better. Cleary and Moses. It's
exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's exciting. And I've got to give a rap to Mitchell Moses. Look, he's a dominant alpha player, dominant halfback, and he put his ego back in place. They combined really well. Some good signs. Really good signs.
What about that tackle that he made on Nene?
Oh, yeah. His defence, Mitch Moses, was dynamite.
Well, that's what you want, right? You want him to get that part right and then compliment Nathan. That's why it works.
There's a couple of tackles. I think he did one on.
Yeah, he did have a couple of big
Tino
ones.
too, close to the line. So, well done, Mitch. Well done.
Well done. You mentioned Zac Lomax before. Obviously, had an absolute blinder when To'o went off. He
went to the other side.
He went to the other side. Where do you see his game at the moment?
Out of this world. When he went to wing, I was scratching my head. I still think at clubland I'd play him in the centres just to get more ball. But the way teams play now, centres don't get that much ball.
Do you reckon he's the best or one of, well, he's obviously one of, he's playing Origin. Do you think he's the best winger in the game at the moment?
Yep.
You do?
Chases kicks. Well, he set up that try, the last try for Dylan Edwards. He got up, caught the ball in one hand, and got it offload to Connor.
Yeah.
His play twos was a big reason why New South Wales won. Him and To'o coming out of trouble. Our outside backs blew their outside backs away, coming out of trouble, which amplifies our middles. With our middles dominating and our outside backs, that make things so much better. But Zac Lomax, he has just elevated himself to really, truly elite status.
He's a
truly
freak,
elite,
isn't
But even he missed a goal.
I know, it was so
sitter.
strange. Who do you think will take the conversions in Perth?
Nathan.
You think he will?
Well, Nathan kicks at club level over 90%.
Yeah, I know. And Zac's
There's something
also
wrong
up
with
there.
the balls.
He's pretty good.
There was something wrong with the balls there.
It was bizarre.
Students coming for me.
Yeah,
it was
careful.
bizarre. Even the sound of it.
Yeah, I heard you say that early on in commentary.
Sounded a little bit different. Anyway.
Steeden will always be right. You mentioned the outside backs of Queensland. Let's talk about Queensland now. Let's start with the outside backs. Obviously, a lot of the damage was done in the middle, but they did have two outside backs playing out of position in terms of clubland. Hammer and Val both were. Do you think that that's okay?
The really worrying thing
change?
for me was Hammer's defensive decision when Zac Lomax scored his second try.
Yeah.
That was at this level, at Origin level, to have a poor defensive read like that. It was really poor. Look, I think Cobbo needs to come in. I'd have Cobbo on the left wing, and I'd be moving Valentine Holmes to left centre. I think Val Holmes at clubland at centre's been doing some really good things.
Yeah.
But they need a bigger body coming out of trouble. So I think Cobbo comes in there.
Yeah. The rest of Queensland, the middle of the field, Harry Grant's obviously very involved. He didn't have his best game of footy.
Once again,
he got targeted.
And Harry's had the hamstring. Look, there are excuses. He's only played 50-odd minutes when he came back
He played
against
50
Cronulla.
minutes, one game, 50 minutes in the lead-up.
So
but
he
there
was
were other
underdone.
players that were in a similar... I mean, Lomax and To'o, they both only played one game
But
as
they were
well.
on the back foot. And Harry didn't have much joy at all. But once again, we monstered him. Monstered him in attack, but even defensively we monstered him. He didn't get many opportunities. But it's probably the worst Origin performance I've seen from Harry, which you don't see.
Do you reckon there's the Craig Bellamy influence? Obviously, he's come in to help Laurie Daly, and he knows all the tricks. He knows every last little thing. Does he give any of that away?
I don't know. I really don't know.
It'd be fascinating if we ever found that out, wouldn't it?
Our marker work on Harry was top notch.
That can't be a fluke.
I don't know.
We actually haven't really spoken about the influence of Craig Bellamy coming in.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Do you reckon it was
huge? Pretty cool seeing him in the box there.
Yeah.
Wasn't as animated as we see. The swear jar was empty, actually. But
it would have probably been really quite nice for him because he would have done a lot of the work in the lead-up.
Without doubt, in my opinion, he's the top 3 coaches of all time. Whether he's number 1, very, very close.
Wow. Okay, Queensland. What does Billy do? Does he make any changes?
Yeah, I think there has to be changes.
Really?
Number 1, to their middle forwards, I think Horsburgh comes in for Mo Fatawaker. I've already talked about Cobbo going to left wing and Val Holmes going to left centre. I think Billy needs to get on the phone and talk to Josh Papali'i.
Yeah.
Big Josh, Big Papa from
Big Paps
from the Raiders. On the bench. But the big one is DCE. Look, no one beats Father Time. And unfortunately, every champion comes to the end. And I think Daly's come to the end.
So you'd take him out of game 2?
Yep. Which is a massive, huge
It's
call.
huge, isn't it?
It's huge call.
It's really hard in these scenarios when the players don't do it themselves, and the player that's been a champion for so long for Queensland. He's been Queensland's hero for how many years? Yeah. He spent so many Origin games, even just with kicking off the boot, totally dominating Nathan Cleary. You look 36. At this game, he kicked less than Cameron Munster.
He's 36.
Yeah.
Everything comes to an end.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, what we saw there, yes, big excuses, playing on the back foot, but I didn't really see Daly pass to Munster and Munster pass to Kalen Ponga. Once again, excuses are on the back foot. But I think Dearden goes to 7.
Yep.
Or Jermaine Hopgood. I think,
Jamal Fogarty.
Jamal Fogarty. The other one, Jermaine Hopgood, I think he goes on the bench.
Yeah.
I think there's a point of difference with Jermaine. Mm-hmm. He's got an offload. He's got a really late offload in his game. I think that can really add something to Queensland. But I think Fogarty, with those other players, he would be an opportunity because he's a really steady hand. He does that at the Raiders, where they're in offload mode and they're playing. He just kicks to the corner, organises well, which then, if Fogarty does that, then it frees up Munster and Kalen. But I think the decision has to be made on the halfback, which is a massive call. And it's unfortunate for DCE because he's been a champion for Queensland, but unfortunately, no one beats Father Time.
Clock's ticking.
Yep.
So you think Fogarty over Dearden because
I don't. No,
you don't?
No,
okay.
I don't. I think
because there was a lot of questions about Dearden 14. How he didn't really. He's not a hooker.
Well, you said if
it
you
was
say
when he
next
played
year,
a little bit wider when Harry came back on that he made an impact, wasn't it?
He went really well when he came on. Did.
Yeah.
But if you say to Queenslanders, righto, tell me your spine in 2 years, you'd be going Dearden halfback, Munster, Harry, and KP. And then what are you going to say in 5 years? You're saying, well, Dearden's going to be there and Sam Walker. He's the future. You've got to put him in sometime.
Get him in.
I think he's played 6 games now. That's off the top of my head. It's his time. It's his time to play halfback. And if you don't go with Dearden, I think you've got to go with Fogarty. But the bench is the big one. Jermaine Hopgood, I think, would be good off the bench. Josh Papali'i. Someone said he's retired from rep footy.
He retired from rep footy.
Well, so did Freddie. So did Alfie.
Come back. The state needs you.
State needs you. Horsburgh's the other one. They've got to start Horsburgh. He'll come in for Mo Fatawaker. They need some mongrel. They needed to turn a stink on.
They really did. They really did. That was what I was saying about Nene. Like, he was the only one that really had that extra bit of...
He had mongrel.
Yeah, extra bit of
chasing kicks, he was outstanding. Back in the old days, the good old days, you could change momentum with early kicks. But if you couldn't do that, then they'd turn a stink on. And that's what would happen.
What did your brother used to say? Bring back the beer.
Bring back the beer. Oh, you can't do that now, mate. We shouldn't apologise for the game we are. Anyway, I could go on with that.
Do you reckon the way that Billy handles these conversations, does he need to come out, the big one, Cherry Evans? Because it's not just their halfback, it's their captain. He's been there for so long. Do you think Billy needs to come out and back him and take a lot of that media pressure? Or it's pretty tricky?
Know. And Daly's had a lot on this year.
There's a lot on.
He's had a lot of pressure. Whether if he comes out in the next couple of days, the next week, and says, right, I'm going to the Dolphins or I'm going to the Roosters, and that is all put to bed, whether that clears his head a little bit. Look, I think another thing that contributed to New South Wales' dominance was the way the game was officiated. Now, there was 15 penalties and six to goes. We have a much bigger, powerful pack, which made it stop-start, which I think took away from the physicality of Origin. I thought it was a really good club game. And what contributed to that was the way it was refereed. And if you want, it's hard for the referees because every tackle, every ruck, you can give a penalty because everyone cheats in the ruck. But it's about managing it. And look, even the first couple...
There was 3 in the first 5 or 6 minutes.
When they sort of had their hand on their head, who cares?
Yeah.
Just get on with it.
It's Origin.
Yeah. So I think that also contributed, but you cannot blame Ashley Klein because at every ruck there can be a penalty.
But also on that, the score was 18-6 at full time. It doesn't really reflect how dominant New South Wales
New South Wales left 2 or 3 tries.
The conversions, more. They left tries out there.
So they kick 1 from 5, so there's 8 points, so that's 26. If they kicked every goal, which normally they do. And if they scored another 2 or 3 tries, which they should have, there's 40 odd. But the concern for Queensland, the stats don't lie. And also, there's a stat out there I saw about they've only scored tries when New South Wales has been down to 12 players.
I saw that.
Did you see that one?
I did see that.
Which is a worry. The teams defend set plays so well now. You need a point of difference.
Which is why Hopgood, the offload, like there are little parts of that game.
The first try for New South Wales, they ran the ball in the last play. They got the ball to Payne Haas. He offloaded, off the offload, threw it wide. And what you get unstructured defence. And I think that's how to bring Latrell in. Offload the middle part of the field. There, do your magic.
I love the intent of New South Wales running a bit more that game. I thought it was brilliant.
He was aggressive, Latrell, in defence too.
Yeah, he was right out from the get-go ready to make a statement too, wasn't he? All right, it is time for our Tab Big Call of the Week. Joey, what have you got for us this week?
If Mitchell Moses plays, I really like the Eels on Sunday, and I think the Broncos Saturday night are absolute morals.
Yeah.
At Brookie 4 Pines.
Mitch Moses getting one over Nathan Cleary.
That
is a big call. Yeah, it'll be a great game. Sunday Arvo footy.
I interviewed him during the week. I think it was showed pre-game. I'm like, you two ever go at each other? No. And I went, well, I believe you, Nathan, but you.
He's got a bit of rat in him, doesn't he,
As they say in England, you're a gobshite. You would have been mouthing off noses. I hope they go at it. I hope they go. There's games when myself and Freddie would play, and then we'd play each other on the weekend. We'd go so hard at each other.
Did you talk about it beforehand or just after it on the field?
Look, we never spoke during the year.
Yeah.
Look, we're great mates. Same as Gordon and Wendell and those sort of blokes. But I never spoke to them during. I don't know whether it's because of social media or now, but
everyone's a bit closer now, aren't we?
They all hang out together.
Yeah, I know. It's strange, isn't it? After the game, you see everyone hugging.
When I first went to Newcastle, when I was in my juniors, so Harold Matthews under 50, Alan McMahon, the late great Alan McMahon, who coached the Knights first, he said, when you finish the game, unless it's a relation or his best man at your wedding, or you're the best mates ever, you don't get out there and you laugh and shake hands and joke around. You shake hands and you get off the field, which is quite telling. But for people who are bad sports and throw the toys out,
that's a bad look.
Throwing mouth guards, screaming. Anyway.
Screaming or crying?
Both. I like when Corey Horsburgh goes off. Like he's an emotional wreck, and Corey never changed. That's you, mate. Was there a game when he was argy-bargy, you'd have the tears in his eye? I love that stuff.
He's red from the top all the way to the bottom, isn't he?
So you imagine him in Origin. You imagine him winding up.
Oh my gosh, so
Hashtag pick Horsburgh.
Please, Billy. All right, last little bit before we wrap it up. Galvin to the Dogs. Wasn't it fun being here on Sunday watching that play out?
I still haven't seen it.
What?
The 100% footy.
Haven't you?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
It's very funny.
I don't know if I want to see it.
Well, we were here before the game on Sunday, and like it had got leaked in the media, and Gus was on the phone the whole time, and then 100% footy when Chamis took Gus on. My goodness, if you haven't watched that,
I haven't watched it yet.
It's funny.
To watch it. It'll be all over.
It's great. It's great television.
Would it be on YouTube?
It is on everyone's socials. Okay. Everyone's talking about it. It's a must-watch. It's a rugby league must-watch.
I can imagine this time of year the hate players get from social media.
So full of it.
I can imagine all of us, commentators.
Oh, sure we do too, of course.
But it doesn't exist. It's not real. If you don't look at it, it's not real. Don't look at it, boys and girls.
It's so funny.
I was disappointed in New South Wales last night.
Yeah, the women.
The ground looked really slippery.
It was. Well, it was raining the whole time in the lead up.
Well done to Queensland. They showed some real ticker. I thought Jamie Chapman and...
Julia Robinson.
She got captain. She got man of the match.
Player of the match? Elliston did.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I thought they were going to punch on.
I know, they were close. Well, Jamie Chapman's got a bit of mongrel.
Who would you back?
I think Chappo would go more rogue. Like, she'd do anything to win. But Julia Robinson's like a Julia Robinson. She's as strong as it gets. She'd win technically, like technique-wise, she'd win. But I just feel like...
at the end. I thought Frezard was going to stop.
Yeah, she's one of you.
Yeah, she looks like fun.
Oh, yeah, she's from the same book as you. She's an absolute ripper.
Yeah, it was fiery, the game.
It was good, wasn't it?
And it hurts, but well done, Queensland.
They made some good changes.
It shows how hard it is
to win 3-0.
Exactly. And New South Wales smashed them, game 1 and game 2. So hard. So New South Wales men's, that's the challenge. Perth first. Geez, there's going to be a lot of talk about who they're going to pick for Queensland.
I know. It's going to be
And it's
big.
rare they're in this situation.
Do you feel sorry for Billy?
Well, I do feel sorry for Bill because we love him. Bill's such a great fella. Even when Billy was the best for Queensland, you couldn't really hate him.
He's a hard person
that
to hate.
much.
He also always says the right thing. He's politically.
But it's on the other
around.
hand where we'd be chopping a change and Queensland would be sort of up there laughing, going, oh, we pick and stick. And it's interesting. It's just the call on DCE it's up there with one of the biggest we've seen.
It's huge, isn't it?
It's unfortunate, but everyone comes to an end.
That's why I asked you about how does Billy handle that? Does he just come out and
Whether he backs him or not,
doesn't he? No, but the media side, because it's all everyone's talking about.
I think maybe the game against Brisbane, like if Daly comes out and shoots the lights out and hits back, then, but if Brisbane do a job on Manly. Anyway.
You'd be stinging to play some footy if you were Daly, though, wouldn't you? You'd be just, get me back on that field, like bring it on, hurry up.
Everyone will be watching. Everyone will be watching that game. And Moses and Cleary going at it. Footy's so good.
How good's footy? It's absolutely flying. Quickly, do you think Cameron Ciraldo when he puts his team together, where do you think he puts Lachlan Galvin? We just pushed Lachlan Galvin to the side.
You can't put him straight in, I don't think. No.
So maybe when he does he bring him off the bench or does he put him in? Because it's quite obvious that not all the players are happy.
You can't put him straight in. I think you play him a couple of games in New South Wales Cup.
Right.
But unless there's an injury, look, Toby Sexton wasn't great with their performance when they got beat by. Who did they get beat by?
Who was it?
There
were a couple of weeks.
He wasn't great in that game, but yeah.
But he's also had a pretty good year. It's tough.
I don't think you can put him straight in. A couple of games in New South Wales Cup.
So
anyway, this is good TV.
It's great TV. This is why we're doing a podcast. No worries. What about the morale? I'm just looking quickly. It was the Dolphins. They got pumped.
Oh, that's right.
Absolutely pumped. How did we forget that? 44-8. But that's still one game.
It's one game.
They're at the top of the ladder. It's massive.
Yeah, the Galvin one's it's really interesting. But myself, I'd probably put him in New South Wales Cup.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, watch his space. We'll see what the
But he's a
Bulldogs
good
do.
buy.
Oh, he's a great buy.
He's a good buy.
He's a great player.
Yeah.
He's so young too. Imagine coaching a kid like Lachlan Galvin. What you could do with him.
When he came on the Sunday Footy Show,
I remember that. It was impressive.
Yeah, he was really good. But he was so young. You realise how much of a baby he was.
Baby.
Anyway, life goes on.
All right, well,
Funny
round 13.
game, Rugby League.
Bring it on. It's a very funny game, Rugby League. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next week.